When it comes to logo design, sketching is one of the most important parts of the design process, for many reasons. As we undertake the design process, ideas can often occur, and the best way to capture them is to sketch them down. Sketching encourages us to think visually, get ideas out of our head, and bring them to life quickly. Sketching is where we can make mistakes, stumble upon ideas, and develop our thoughts. Sketching also allows a designer to truly put themselves into their work. Up to this point on the course, we have learnt a lot about the project and spent some time thinking about what we have learnt to generate some interesting ideas we can base our logo design around. Once we have some solid ideas in place from the discovery phase, it's now time to put pen to paper and start to explore our ideas and see how we can bring them to life visually. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how I think about the design challenge and sketch out ideas for my logo design. So let's get into it. So here I am with my design process checklist. Once adequate time has been spent on phase 1 and we have checked each task, we can now move into step 1 in phase 2. The first step in the visual concept and design phase is sketch ideas. So for me, sketching is possibly the most fun and exciting part of the design process. This is a fast, productive, creative, hands-on and magical phase where ideas start to come to life and take shape. A lot of ground can be covered and creative thought realized through sketching. Now, one of the cool things about sketching is there is no pressure here. You don't have to be good at it, and anyone can do it. It's not about perfection here, it's just about ideas. Once I have spent some time discovering and I have some awesome creative themes to base my logo design around, I then like to start sketching. Here, I like to take out my graphic pad and bring to life my ideas, spreading them out over the table. At this point, I don't want to get too specific about any design details. Here, I'm simply testing my ideas that come through inspiration from the discovery phase. My policy, if something works as a sketch, then with a bit of work, it will probably work as a more polished design. Now, my preferred method of sketching is to sit in front of my project wall, so all my research and discovery is in front of me, particularly my visual research, also referred to as mood boards. Now, I like to be immersed in my visual research as I find it inspiring. Though, if I can't sit with the project wall, then I will try and get printouts of my research and have them nearby to glance at. So when sketching, I would recommend you undertake 2 tasks. 1. Make visual interpretations and sketch ideas. And 2. Select the strongest roots. So here I have my sketches, which I have developed for my logo design. So here you can see some very rough initial sketches across a few pages where you can see my thought process. In this video, I'm going to take you through this and demonstrate my thinking and my process. If you wish to take a closer look at my sketches, you can get them in the course folder. The course folder comes with my complete logo design solution I will be demonstrating on this course, including all my design example files and documents at each step to aid your learning experience. The folder also comes with design resources, such as a logo design process checklist, process documents and templates, a project folder structure, color sample charts, and a logo proposal document example, all of which you can not only learn from, but use in your own design process. To get the full learning experience and use the resources to help develop your own logo project, I recommend you get the course folder. Download link with instructions is in the description. So with the course folder open, click into the design process example folder, click into folder 2 design, into folder 1 visual concept, into folder 1 sketches, and click on the Illustrator doc or the PDF labeled example sketches, and you will have the same document I have open here. Okay, so before I take you through my sketches, it may help to remind you of what I am designing for, so we can better understand the context. So here I'm designing a logo for a dance music festival called Euphoria. In the first phase of the project, I demonstrated how I researched the project to better understand the qualities and undertook brainstorming to come up with some interesting creative territories to base my design around. With the course folder open, click into the design process example folder, click into folder 1 Learn and Discovery, into folder 6 Creative Direction, and click on the Illustrator doc labeled Example Creative Direction. and you will have the same document I have open here. So all this amounted to 3 awesome creative territories I thought would be really cool to base a logo design around, which we can see on the first page here. And on the second page, we can see what I wanted to research visually for each route. In this video, and for the rest of this course, I will be demonstrating how I developed my design for Creative Territory 1. This territory is called Loving It, and the idea for this one is a celebration of one of the strongest emotions of euphoria, love. Euphoria is a place where people experience love for dance music, live music, pumping beats, shared experience, and community. In the last step, we undertook visual research, where I looked at icons and symbols to reflect the qualities of this route to get a good feel of inspiration. And now, in this step, I'm going to showcase the sketch ideas I had in response to this creative territory. Okay, so let's start with my approach. So before I start sketching, I first want to familiarize myself with the qualities I need to keep in mind. So this route is called Loving It, and this one is based on a place where people experience love for dance music, pumping beats, and community. So I'll need to consider 1. A sense of euphoria, 2. A love of dance music, 3. A love of live experience, and 4. For an international audience. Now, some other interesting qualities that also stood out to me in my research were 1. The festival occurs in 4 continents, and 2. The majority of dance music is written in a 4/4 time signature. So for this route, there are lots of interesting qualities. An obvious theme here is euphoria and love, rhythm and energy is a feature, as well as people, community, and shared experience. And the number 4 is quite important. So when I'm aware of the qualities, I will undertake the first task. 1. Make visual interpretations and sketch ideas. This is where I will start to use my imagination, make creative interpretations of the qualities and visual research, and start to conjure up ideas and start to sketch out some of my thoughts. Here, I'm looking to make clever observations, find any connections and meaning, and generate any fresh and unique ideas. So here are my sketches, and here is some of my visual research. Typically, what I do is start on one sheet of large paper and just sketch out any ideas that come to me. The aim here is to develop my ideas and branch out. And normally I'll do this until I fill a sheet or I come up with a few cool ideas. For this, I like to work on an A3 piece of paper because this gives me a lot of space to draw and develop my ideas across the page. So from my visual research, I found a bunch of images I liked with lines and waves which seemed to suggest the vision and feel I was going for. To me, these seem to encapsulate sound, rhythm, pulse, emotion, and elevation. A lot of the qualities I felt were relevant here. So starting from the top here, the first thing I thought of was vibrating lines, like a sound wave. And this would consist of 4 lines to represent the 4 locations and the 4/4 time signature of dance music. Whatever I do going forward here, I want to do something with 4 lines to represent sound waves, pulse, and music. Next, I thought about rhythm and vibration, like a ripple. Here I thought, could this be more angular than round? Then I thought about perhaps repeating the vibration outwards. This made me think about emotions and how emotions will be like a whirlwind at the event. So I thought about 4 swirling lines coming out from the center. And that's how far I took that one initially. Back up to the rhythm and vibration. From my visual research, I was liking the heart symbol because I thought it clearly depicted euphoria and love. So next I thought about pulse and the heartbeat, and perhaps the heart could pulsate. This seemed cool because it was a simple way to depict euphoria, music, pulse, and vibration in one symbol. This made me think about how the heart could be used as part of the word euphoria and how it could be used as part of a phrase. At this point, I thought there was something in the heart shape, but how could I put a new twist on this very familiar shape? Back down to my whirlwind, I wondered if the 4 swirls could take the shape of a heart, so I sketched out some ideas here to see how the swirls could look. After this, I came back to the beating heart and tried some other ways to compose this. Next, I thought about layers, pulsing, and a rippling out effect. When I sketched the rippling out heart, I saw something. Funnily, I thought that if split in half, each side looks reminiscent of a human ear. Which is cool because this not only symbolizes love, but we have 4 beats, and the human ear that loves to listen to dance music, and 4 lines to represent each festival location. Now from my visual research, I found these little stick people dancing, which I thought were quite interesting. Next, I wanted to see how I could use figures of people dancing to create a logo. Here I sketched a bunch of figures and wondered how they could be used together to create something. Here I thought maybe 4 figures could be used to dance around a center point. So this was my initial sheet where I sketched out and developed a bunch of ideas. Like I said earlier, I'll do this until I generate some ideas I think have potential. Now when I get excited about a particular idea, I typically take it onto another piece of paper where I'll focus on that one particular idea and look at how it could materialize in a variety of ways. So here I have 4 sheets with 4 ideas I generated from my first sketch sheet. So the first sheet here is the logo with the human figures, and this logo concept I call Dance Nation. Now normally I like to write a little sentence in the corner just to outline the concept idea, and this one reads, "The event is all about self-expression. 4 dancing figures to represent 4 nations dancing together to form one symbol." Here you can see how I played around with the idea and pushed it a little further. On the next sheet is a logo with the 4 swirls in the shape of the heart. This logo concept I called Whirlwind. This one reads, "Emotions at the event are like a whirlwind. 4 whirling streaks to represent whirling emotions and locations in the shape of a heart." Here you can see how I played around with this idea and pushed it a little further. On the next sheet is a logo with the pulsating heart in 2 halves. This logo concept I called Listening Love. This one reads, "The event is all about music, rhythm and energy. 4 pulsating waves to represent music, euphoric emotions, the left and right human ear and each location in the shape of a heart to symbolize love for dance music." Here you can see how I played around with this idea and pushed it a little further. So the last sheet here is the logo with the 4 heartbeats. This logo concept I called Euphoric Heart, and this one reads, "Mood is elevated at the event. A heart with 4 pulses to represent a heart full of emotion, excitement and love." So this is how I typically sketch my ideas out on paper. First, I just draw ideas that come into my mind, and this will typically trigger other ideas. Now this is the point of this process, to put ideas down, move through the thought process, test, build and discover ideas. Then, when I find ideas I like, I will isolate them onto their own specific page and develop them further. This allows me to think more deeply about ideas and consider them in different ways. As you can see, this is quite rough, but this is all about generating and developing ideas and seeing them take shape. So once I feel I have some potential logo ideas, I'll move on to the next task. 2. Select the strongest roots. So at this point, I will typically have a lot of potential ideas. In one sketch session, I may come up with several ideas, but I won't look to develop them all because that would take a lot of time and some may be not that great. All I'm going to do here is decide on the logo ideas I feel are the strongest and have the most potential that I'd like to take into the next step. Now here I can choose just one idea, but if I think there are some really good ones worth exploring further, I'll choose a few. So here I'm going to go with Dance Nation, Listening Love and Euphoric Heart. These are 3 options I think have potential and are quite different, which play on different qualities for the music festival. At this point, I'd be interested to see how these can develop further in the next step. Now, in this video, I demonstrated how I developed my ideas and how I sketched them out. Now, you are welcome to follow along with my example, but if you are following along with this course and looking to undertake your own process as an exercise, I would recommend you undertake your own sketching for your project. So if you are following along with your own design idea, take a pause and carry out your process. Before moving on, undertake the same process I have just demonstrated here, but sketch out your own ideas for your creative territory and narrow down your ideas into your best logo concepts. Remember, you will be able to use your own sketches when we come to artworking them later in the design process. So this is how I typically sketch for my logo design. As you can see, it's pretty rough, but that's cool at this stage. Sketching in this way is really good for me to test and generate ideas in the early stages. Now, depending on your logo design, type can become a significant part. Looking at my sketches here, you can see how I have started to think about type, roughly. For my design, I would like to include a type element, but how is that going to look and how am I going to develop this? Now, if you're following along with this course and creating your own logo design, you may too have some ideas for type and how it may play a part in your logo like I have. In logo design, there are a variety of ways type can be developed and used. When sketching my logos, I will typically draw some initial ideas for my type very roughly, as you can see here. Though once I have some ideas in mind, I will then start to consider how the type is going to work. Next, I will need to think about how I'm going to use my type. In the next video, I'm going to discuss type as part of our logo design and demonstrate how you can consider type in your logo design. So see you in the next video.